So while I'm waiting for the coolant flush to arrive, I'm going to move on to some other items I noticed that were bugging me about this car when I drove it. So for starters, driving straight down the road, and I've aligned the emblem on the steering wheel, you'll notice that the steering wheel itself is not straight. It's sort of clocked a bit to the right. And when I straighten the wheel out to go straight ahead, it does pull left. So I have a feeling that this nice aftermarket steering wheel, the splines aren't perfectly cut, so I'll have to check out what I can do with either resetting the steering wheel position, or I may have to make adjustments to the steering arms at the rack to center this, because this was off by, I don't know, 4 or 5 degrees, 6 degrees maybe. Another problem is that the canceller didn't want it to cancel at all. So whoever put this on didn't know how to set up the steering wheel canceller. So I'm going to go ahead and take the steering wheel off and have a look at the canceller system first and find out what's going on there before I mess about trying to correct the steering alignment here. In order to get the wheel off, I've got to take out the hub nut, and then the wheels will pop right off. So before I actually remove this wheel, I thought I'd take the steering column cowls off first to have a look. So normally the cowls are positioned on either side, but if you take them off, you get a good look at what's going on. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit. See if I can brighten this up. So the steering wheel, you see that little post right there? Right here, this little post? That's the piece that turns the canceller off when you steer the wheel back and forth. Now, having it over here would be correct for a right-hand drive car, because this stock here would have been the signal stock. But on a left-hand drive car, this one's the wipers. And on a left-hand drive car, this is the signal. So the real problem is that this piece got installed 180 degrees out of position. With this new steering wheel, maybe it happened when the wheel was put in or whatnot, but I actually don't need to remove the wheel to fix this with this setup here. See how the two pieces interlock? Here's the wheel, here's the canceller. What I'm going to do is, instead, I'm going to come down here, and I'm actually going to loosen up the pinch clamp, because the steering column itself is able to slide up and down, so you can make minor adjustments to how all this stuff fits. And I think I can slide this down far enough to be able to rotate the canceller around without having to take the steering wheel off. So I've gone ahead and loosened the clamp, and I think I can just wiggle it. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, so I've just freed the cancel up to rotate around. So now I think what I can do is just rotate this 180 degrees, and that should fix my canceling problem. And if I bring the steering column back up, I should be able to just test it out with the wheel. So now that I've gone ahead and made that adjustment to the canceller, I'm just going to give it a quick test. Do a left-hand turn here. Click. And there it goes, cancels. So now, let's just pretend to do a right-hand turn. Cancels as well. Okay. So that's how it's supposed to operate. One more piece of the puzzle is the alignment notch on the canceller there. You see that little hole here? That actually lines up with a slot on the canceller. So here's the slot. This little slot here, this piece, needs to line up with there in the straight ahead position. So that's how you should know that everything's lined up correctly. So now that I got the canceller sorted out here, I'll just have to make minor adjustments to the column position, and I'll fit the cowl pieces back on and then tighten up the bolt to set everything here. I find that this is often a problem, so getting the canceller positioned properly whenever an aftermarket wheel is fitted. And a lot of times I find that the steering wheel is out of position, just because the difference is in the way that the splines are cut on the hubs versus the column. So And this one's no exception. It is off slightly. I do need to make minor adjustments at the steering rack, but now that I know what the canceller problem was, I can go ahead and put this all back together and then move on to the rack adjustments.